Welcome back to the Sales Pulse podcast, where sales isn't about scripts. It's about your conversational fluency with others. I'm Marla Koupal, your sales conversation architect. Last week, we did part one of this presentation. We talked about what happens before you hire a sales coach. How do you hold up the mirror and discover your conversational patterns and why you might want to change those and what might help you elevate your sales conversations and your sales success? Most small business owners and independent salespeople don't need more motivation. They don't need another generic sales class. They need to understand and help the buyer become clear about what their needs are. There's always more details you can add to a conversation that endears the customer to you. The customers want assumption-free conversations. And I would say assumptions is the biggest downfall that most salespeople make and why they lose sales. It's time to see which sales habits can help you or hurt you to make the sale. Today, we're moving into the second half of last week's conversation. Part one is already up on YouTube. Today is what to look for when you decide to work with a sales coach. The right coach doesn't teach you what to say. They help you hear the buyer and yourself and create conversations that will convert. Let's have a quick recap about what we did last week. In part one, we looked at the difference between hype and habit. We looked at the red flags that coaches who teach from scripts or those one-size-fit-all messages that people are generically creating and you feel that they're supposed to work. People are smarter than that. And we covered the idea that respect and curiosity, not persuasion, is the real power. We ended with a challenge last week. We wanted you to review your last 3 conversations and ask yourself where you might have rushed the decision on the buyer's part or where you held space for them to make up their mind in their best timing. That reflection work is the foundation of any successful salesperson. So if you're in the habit of saying, oh, what should I have said? What should I have done? Take the time to reflect and understand that it's not words that are always going to make the sale. It's how you work with the buyer and how you hear that buyer. Now let's build on last week. Why choosing the right coach matters. Hiring a sales coach isn't about finding someone to fix you. You're not broken. It's about finding someone who can refine you, show you where you wouldn't have as many sticky moments in a sales conversation. A good sales coach should feel like a guide who sharpens your instincts, not someone who replaces them or gives you a formula. When you are the whole sales department, you don't have time for fluff and nonsense. You need a coach who gets your world, your product, your customer base, where selling happens in real time, over Messenger, in phone calls, and sometimes just between family and client life. People have to squeeze you in order to make their buying decisions. You want that kind of flexibility. Let's get specific about what a great coach might look like for you. Here's 5 qualities of a sales coach that you want to look for. Have they had real world sales experience, not just online experience? I've had many decades of sales experience, plus sales teams working for me. I've coached others in selling their way, not any cookie cutter way. You want someone who's been familiar with quotas and meeting deadlines. You want someone who's faced rejection or no's. Not every no is a rejection. It's just an opening for the next conversation. And you want people who are skilled at adapting their tone of voice and timing based on the buyer's behavior. See, I'm not going to teach you seller's behavior, and you don't want coaches teaching you seller behavior. You want them to show you how to read buyer behavior and adapt. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sold something to yourself? Would you buy it? That answer will tell you everything. You also want a buyer-focused approach. Old school approaches are scripts, pushy formulas, just say this, but that doesn't fit. People are smart. They were always smart before, but for some reason, traditionally, people are still showing you how to make a pitch, how to say it just this way, and it'll just turn everybody's head and make them fall in line to buy. It just doesn't work that way either. Words are slick. They could be right for you. They can sound smooth. But if your buyer can't hear you, that you have understanding for them and their need, and you are not matching their pace and focus of receiving information and making decisions, then you're losing the sale. Take time to discover the cues that the buyers are giving you about how quickly or slowly they make decisions. It's your goal to build comfort with the buyer so that they like how you're guiding them. They want them to give you the information they need and maybe suggest information that they haven't thought about. But it's not about having an exact conversation prepared for everybody. Human beings do not like to be treated as cookie cutters, and I bet you don't like to either. A conversation is about read the buyer's cues, build their comfort, share what they need first, then maybe add in what you'd like to have. It's not about handling objections, because really, an objection is only a question that is still unanswered. Find the question that hasn't been answered. You want to customize your conversations. Nothing cookie cutter. Throw away the script. Every business is different. Direct sellers have different challenges than a leadership coach or a boutique owner. If your coach doesn't ask about your audience, your price points, or your sales cycles, they're sharing with you what they can find in a book. A sales coach should help you modify for the field you play in. A true coach will tailor their training around your real-world patterns, your products, your clients, and not just theory. So when you really find the coach you want, they could be working with estate attorneys, they could be working with salespeople for insurance, they could be working for network marketers, they could be working for anyone to expand their opportunity to have successful sales conversations. And fourth, you want to focus on behavior, not motivation. Motivation will fade by Monday. So hype and excitement and deadlines are not it. You're looking for your behavior to be one that can adapt with the buyer, and it'll stick when you've practiced it. The right coach helps you repeat small, consistent actions that really move forward your conversation. The key one is, are they teaching you to ask pure, open-ended questions? And this is something you review at the end of each day. If your sales coaching isn't building muscle memory for conversations and how to adapt to the people in front of you, then it may be time to switch that sales coach. And you want to build in reinforcement. This is non-negotiable. If you're buying a coach, you want to build in reinforcement, just like you build in reinforcement for the buyer when you make a callback. If your coach doesn't have a reinforcement plan, run away. They're just giving you another script. Real change does not come from one sales session. It comes from repetition. That might mean you have to check in with your coach once a week, voice memos, talk about successes, talk about what you want to work on next. It could be a peer coaching group. You could have conversational reviews. If you're recording your calls, then those are really easy for your sales coach to work with. Reinforcement is the bridge between learned it and live it. If you're a solopreneur, what does reinforcement look like other than your bad feeling because you didn't make a sale? If you don't have a manager checking in on you, you can still build your own system. You can record one of your sales calls and listen to it once a week, not to criticize yourself, but to hear what the buyer heard. Really, the best way to ever listen to a sales call for yourself is to always look for the 3 positive things out of the conversation and only take away 1 that you want to work on or amend before your next conversation. Or you can have a sales coach, have them listen to your calls. So track your sales skills one step at a time. Maybe this week it's how well did you come across being curious about the buyer? And next week it might be about pacing your conversation. Find an accountability partner if you don't have a coach. It doesn't have to be someone who's in your business, just someone who helps you stay aware of your tone, your timing, and your trust building habits with your buyers. Reinforcement isn't about perfection. It's about presence. Are you always remaining present with the buyer in front of you? If you want a coach, here's a simple framework for choosing a coach. Before you invest, ask them these questions. Will they show you how to adapt to different buyers? Not every buyer is the same. Some make quick decisions, some make slow decisions, and sellers shouldn't follow scripts. You want somebody who doesn't even have to follow a script to work with you. You also want to know what level of personal experience they've had. And it may not matter what fields they've been in if they're able to show you how to have a conversation with anyone about anything. Some people are too niched looking for that coach. We'll get personal feedback, not generic templates. That's pretty valuable. In the situation that you were in that sales call that you sent them a tape of, whatever you did, how did it go? What is unique to you that they can coach to? And will that sales coach help you practice between sessions? Especially if you get a new product, you've got a new product launch, that's perfect for someone to help you with your success in sales. And will they measure your success by your clarity, not your close rate? This is key. Your clarity of messaging with your buyers, your clarity of listening to what the buyer said and not sharing back a script that you learned, but adapting your conversation to fit that buyer in front of you. That's the fluency that you're looking for. And there's very few coaches out there who do that. You really want coaches who are working with people individually. They might have classes, but it's the individual time to really make a shift in your sales success. If you've said yes to all four of those, then you've found the right sales coach. The right coach doesn't just train your skills, they train your awareness. When to pause, when to say more, when to ask a question, how to pace with the buyer. There's such an art form to selling. It's never about the words. It's all about your behavior. A sales coach will help you slow down enough to see the moment a buyer says yes in their own mind. They build your confidence to sell fluently, not forcefully. Whether you want to hire a coach or become your own, remember, sales fluency isn't about learning new tricks. It's about remembering how to listen, how to adapt, and how to lead with respect. This has been the Sales Pulse Podcast. I'm Marla Koupal, your sales conversation architect, helping you build sales one clear, curious conversation at a time. Subscribe, share, and stay tuned for next week's episode.